Happier than God is the state that we achieve when we eliminate judgment from our lives and stop making someone else wrong for what we have called forth in our own reality. That we move out of judgment when we move into gratitude. Gratitude is the great healer and the great awareness expander. And these days, I've allowed myself to look into the face of apparent tragedy or upset and say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. I don't even know what I'm thanking you for right now, but I guarantee it's going to show up here very soon. I know it's going to show up here very soon. Because nothing bad can happen to you. You can only think that it is.
The reason that children die of starvation on the planet is because the cultures in which they live and from which they emerge have not found it possible to look at the larger picture of life in a different way, by and large. And that has produced a perception which creates a belief, which generates a behavior, which results in an experience that appears to be reality. And by the way, the experience is, the reality is, the belief is not enough. That is, a belief in insufficiency, not enoughness. And that belief is regenerative. That is, it regenerates itself. Unless something or somebody comes in there with an entirely different perspective and shifts the reality by going around the circle. But it would take a person or persons, an event of cataclysmic or enormous impact in order to produce that on a culture-wide basis. It can occur in the lives of individual people, but to produce it on a culture-wide basis, you would have to have a phenomenal occurrence. Such an occurrence, by the way, is possible to leapfrog humanity or swaths or sections of it to another experience. Such an occurrence is possible. We can, in fact, produce such a wave of new thought to create a new perspective. I believe, in fact, that that is the charge we have been given by life itself when we came here. It's about creating a new wave that, if you please, pushes humanity to a new perspective that causes the dominoes to fall around the golden circle and create ultimately an altered reality. But for now, the problem is we're dealing with cultural stories that are in some cases thousands of years old. In fact, in most cases, thousands of years old. You know, you go to Palestine and you talk to individual Palestinians and individual Israelis in that region of the world, and you find that people on both sides of the so-called struggle agree that peace is what they want. But the collective consciousness has been unable to find that solution for over 50 years. Half century or more. Because collectively, the conscious mitigates against the individual messages of the enlightened. Unless it does not. Unless something remarkable occurs to produce a shift in the collective consciousness. In Ireland, Christians were killing Christians on the streets, and not for a week or two, but, as you know, for many, 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 many years, decades. Catholics killing Protestants with rifles right across the street from each other, just shooting them, as I'm sure you must be aware. This went on for 30, 40 years, until finally they put down their weapons. because they had a cultural story that supported the killing of each other over religious and the economic differences that flowed from the religious differences that divided them. And the same thing on the Hindi-Pakistani border, and on and on and on and on and on around the world, including here in the United States, in many ways. So the challenge then is to create a new cultural story, that is, a new idea about God, about life, and about each other, that could cut across the cultural divisions that are ingrained in the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, and change the future of humanity. And that's the invitation and the challenge. My self-assigned task on the planet is, I've been asked many times, Matt Lauer asked me on the Today Show, Neil, what is your life mission? I said, my life mission is to change the world's mind about God, about life, and about each other. That we might live in a new way and create a new collective reality. Life is a process that informs life about life through the process of life itself. Again, life is a process that informs life about life through the process of life itself. That is, we are telling each other about each other and demonstrating what we imagine to be true about each other by the way we behave with each other. And it's done on a one-on-one basis. It's done one person at a time. Slow, arduous work. Unless certain people come along who choose to extend their influence beyond the one-on-one ratio to a larger arena of interactivity and impact. Those people are called, traditionally, teachers or messengers. Some of you in this room may choose to join the ranks of those teachers and messengers. It's up to you. Children are starving because we do not have enough messengers bringing humanity another cultural story about what it means to be human. It's really quite as simple as that. If any of this even begins to make sense to you, Jesus Christ, don't sit on this. Move this out into your world. My God, don't sit on this. Don't let this just be the latest hot read. Yesterday's ice cream, last year's bestseller. My God, this stuff can change the world. What the hell are we waiting for? But we need messengers. People deeply committed, deeply committed. Like this one. Don't mean to point out people, but this one here, Linda, who I've known now for a number of years, doing this work in Mexico. Every turn that she gets, every chance she gets, taking these messages and putting them out, and putting them out, and putting them out, and putting them out, and creating a context within which they can be heard, and creating a space for them to emerge, creating the space for the new spirituality to emerge upon the earth, actively doing so, proactively doing so. Because she's not willing to sit on this stuff and not do anything with it. I need more Lindas. I need more messengers. And I need you now. And that's what's true.